Who said make believe was just for kids? I've lost my senses and I'm 26. I'm wanting you with me, reality slipping. What I had in mind, you'd love me on my time. Just like that I blink and you're near. Just like that I think and you care. Just like that, what we have.
What's up, fam?
I was getting there. What's up, fam? Welcome back to the Time is Right podcast. My name is Scott Smith. I am your host. And we did it. We finished the season. Pretty amazing. Feels good. This is season 2, episode 1. We're setting the stage again. And we are back where it all started, in the podcast palace, the Upper Darby editing dungeon.
I forgot that's what you called it.
And I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Jarrett Moses, a.k.a. Top Mop Productions. What's good, Jarrett?
Hello. What's going on? We're back.
We're back to where it all began, man. We've been shooting a lot of the episodes up at the house, up in Philly. But yeah, we're back. We're back to where it all began. I'm sitting on a futon. Jarrett is at his illustrious desk, where there's a whole bunch of screens and equipment that I don't even know what it does.
Tornado went off on my desk. There's stuff everywhere.
It's always a good time. But yeah, this is it's really good to be back in the room where it all began. And yeah, just celebrating the completion of our first season of Time is Right. It's hard to believe we only started this not too long ago. And we put out like 14 episodes in season 1.
Yeah.
And we've already got a few slated for season 2. And super excited for what's ahead. We just wanted to kind of have another setting the stage episode before we get into just the regular episodes going date by date here on Time is Right. To just kind of recap season 1, talk a little bit about season 2, and also just kind of dream a bit together on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, just kind of feels like the right thing to do considering where this whole thing started. I just want to start off by saying this. I know I mention it on every episode, but Jarrett, thank you, sir. Top Mop Productions. If you're looking for an audio engineer for live sound, if you're looking for somebody to record your acoustic albums, I don't know. You do so many things. You're looking for somebody to run lights at a show. You're looking for somebody to shoot a video for you. You're looking for a place to perform on a YouTube channel. You're looking for an A1 for a wedding. I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that this guy does. And it's just been a blast to do it with you. And just want to publicly say thank you again, because without you, literally the Time is Right would not happen. Going back to our original Right podcast in 2020 with Coming It Right, the main reason why that, halted was because of how difficult it was on the technical end for us to edit episodes and get them out in a timely manner. It just became too much. And so I kind of thought the podcast for Right days were dead. And then I, casted a vision with you, and you were like, dude, let's just do it. Let's just start it. It's going to be great. Yeah. And here we are starting season 2.
It's wild to me being in season 2. Like it felt like so long to create season 1, but looking back, it really wasn't that long to actually do it.
It was like September to December.
Yeah.
Maybe June. No, September, right? It was our first drop.
I think so.
September 2022, I think.
Yeah.
Was our first drop. So we did 14 episodes in 4 months, which is kind of absurd. And it's done now, baby. We did it.
We did it. And moving on to season 2 already, like we're already set up to get a couple episodes done. It's going to be a completely different dynamic because we were playing catch up and now we're actually like on top of it immediately.
Yeah, that to me is like one of my favorite things about where we're at with the pod, is kind of getting to that point where the episodes that we're doing will be more, a week ago or 2 weeks ago instead of 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because we decided to start in September, but we went back to February to start talking about Good Soil. And for, our first 14 episodes, it's all been about catching up to get to the point where what we're talking about has just happened.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet. We got a couple episodes after this one that will be, more in the past. But season 2 will be all about 2023. And then once we turn the page into 2024, maybe we'll still exist as an organization, Ripe Creatives, and be able to do season 3. But definitely excited to kind of move in that direction of getting caught up for sure.
Yeah. And I think the episodes are only going to get better just because all of our people have gotten more comfortable behind the mic and sharing, but also with being caught up. The testimonies and stories are going to be more fresh in their minds, so they're going to remember more to actually share.
Yeah. Like there's been a value of going really far back in time because it's like forces you to remember God's goodness and what he did at that particular thing. But you're right. We miss details because it was 5 months ago or whatever, So.
That's the way it goes. I mean, a great way to remember too is just listening back to these episodes. Like I still like going back and listening to a couple. I got a couple of favorites. I don't know if you do. Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, from season 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I have, all of them were great. And they're all worth listening to, that's the like politically
100%,
correct
100%. We're not saying don't listen to it.
Yeah. I think, so just overview wise, we did Good Soil. We did 4 different creatives episodes. We did concert, 2 galleries, and the open mic.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize we did that many about creatives.
Yeah, we did 4 Creatives Philly episodes. We did 4 festival episodes because we did Creation Fest, we did Holy Smoke Fest, we did Worship Fest, and we did the Justice Run Festival.
Yep.
We also talked about the Canada trip where we took up Ripe Worship and
that was a big deal.
Couple artists and Aunt G and myself. We talked about the block parties, both in Philly and my hometown, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. And I think there was something. Oh, the college show. We did a temple.
Oh,
with
yeah,
Demir.
the Temple U concert.
Demir, Rashid. Demir was the one on the episode with us. But so that is the amalgamation of the 14 episodes. It was like festivals, our own creatives events, block parties, and then these like college shows and other shenanigans, the Canada trip and stuff like that. So I would say out of those, the gallery episode with Marguerite is like top tier for me. I love that episode so much. Marguerite is just so thoughtful, so incredibly well spoken.
Yes.
And you can like feel her gentle heart over the microphone, even on the podcast. She's just like, everything she says is like dripping with grace and love and truth, and just so humble too. Like she's one of the most gifted artists I've ever met, but incredibly sincere, incredibly humble, like really grateful to creatives and getting to do that whole gallery together. And it was cool because we were even like dreaming on that episode about the future of creatives galleries a little bit. And the reality is like now that's happening, right?
Yeah.
We've already done another gallery. We got other ones planned out for 2023. So that one sticks out. Also, the Doc Hero Creatives Concert episode.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Might be a little selfish, but I always like the ones that I'm on a little bit more. And the Doc Hero one's probably my favorite overall.
Yeah, Doc's was so good.
That was just a fun conversation with the 3 of us.
Yeah, I mean, Doc's the OG, and we love him to life, and we spend a lot of time with him. Now, in light of like our partnership with the Story Factory, even more so than before, we're planning out big stuff for the summer. It's just like a lot in that relationship that will probably come out on this podcast. So it's cool to like introduce him early.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like episode 4, I think 3 or 4.
Yeah, if that. I was just listening to it the other day, and I'm listening back, and we're talking like we're trying to stay kind of vague and distant on ideas because we hadn't set everything in stone with the whole Story Factory move, and now it has. And I'm listening to it, and I'm like thinking back on good times.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing how
seeing the growth.
You trust that like stuff is going to work out and pan out, but integrity is you don't share details you don't have yet, right? Like,
right.
You're not going to say like, oh, and we're working on this, and then it doesn't pan out, And then you're like, well, yeah, I know I said that, but it didn't work out. So I'm always like very cautious to say this is what we're doing until it happens.
Yeah, and that goes with integrity because you want anything you say to be taken seriously and people to have a certain level of weight that they know comes when you say something.
Yeah, you just want it to be the truth.
Yeah.
You know? So, but now it actually is true that we're partnered with the Story Factory and we got the entire year slated for creatives events there.
And I think part of it was also we try not to talk about anything in the future on these episodes.
Yes. We try to stay away from the timeline stuff other than what's in the past.
We were a little more solidified at the time of recording the doc episode. We already had like I think 1 or 2 scheduled, but we were like, we're not gonna say.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know if they would work. Like
Right.
we didn't know if
We only had
dynamic.
the 2 scheduled. We had the
Right.
gallery and the open mic that happened there.
Right, the gallery with Rosie, the open mic in November. We actually never did an episode for that open mic in November because it was our first time in there. There was a lot of like hang-ups with it.
Yeah.
It was good, but it still was like not our best.
It was just technical issues and things that get ironed out whenever you're in a new space. Like your first event in a new space is never going to be like as smooth as when we were in High Point or anything.
Yep. So we didn't actually do an episode for that, but yeah, the relationship with Story Factory. Well, I think you will hear the words "the Story Factory" on a lot of episodes in season 2 because we're there quite a bit. Another one for me that I really enjoy was a creative. Apparently, it's all the creatives episodes, but the creatives Philly episode about the cafe we did in June. That was a really, really special episode because that was all with Eves.
Oh, the one with Eva. Yeah.
Yeah, because that episode, like, it talked about an individual event, but maybe that episode more than any other one talked about the impact that event had on a person and how that impact has changed their life. Is actually like Eves is doing her music. She's a part of Ripe now. She was already going to do her music, but doing it within the community of Ripe, I think has been a really big blessing for her. I think I can say that confidently.
Oh yeah. Like just looking back at that, even though that episode was recorded like a couple months after the fact, looking back at it, like the amount of growth that has happened since even the recording of that episode.
Facts.
For her, for the community, like seeing all that she's done with right now, seeing all that she's done with her music herself. She's full steam ahead, going crazy with putting out content. Yeah,
she's been dropping songs. After we recorded that episode, she dropped her first full-length album, The Wyoming Project, super good. And then she's been dropping singles like crazy. She's been getting booked, and it's really, really exciting for her. But I think it was cool to have an episode about like this open mic event that we threw, and then all this stuff has transpired because of it. So I think that makes that episode even more sweet for me because I know what's happened since. And then the Worship Fest episode, I think would probably be in my top 4.
Yeah.
With Jonathan Curtis. Shout out to Jonathan, Carson Simpson Farm Christian Camp. We partner with them quite a bit throughout the year now. I mean, it was just the summers before, but Jonathan calls me almost every day. I feel like, it's not every day, but he calls me at least once a week to just dream. He comes up with crazy ideas, ways for the camp and Ripe to work together, ways for Ripe creatives to benefit. And add value to what's happening at his camp. He's the camp director up there at CSF. And
that man is extremely creative and knows how to utilize the gifts and stuff that he has at his disposal. And he knows how to connect with people to make it even better. Like, he could throw the festival by himself if he wanted, but I think that he knows that bringing other people alongside just makes it better.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great camp director. Because being a camp director is a lot about networking, relationship building, and communication, having great communication skills.
Yeah.
Because you're organizing something for hundreds of kids and dozens of staff. And, all the resources and everything you need to allocate in different directions. And he's a great leader. He's like a really, really great leader. Come to really value my friendship with him. And I think everybody has,
Oh yeah, I love talking to him. Like when he and his wife offered to even let me stay there overnight leading up to Worship Fest, because it's like an hour drive for me to get there. That meant a lot. Like just being invited to stay in his home.
Yeah, hospitality. We talk a lot about hospitality on this podcast. But yeah, that Worship Fest episode, I think why I liked that one a lot was because of just getting to share the backstory of getting the grant to be able to do it and God's provision there. And even like hesitations that I had about even doing a festival because of the resource end of things, and just how God, provided. So I think to me, like the episodes that you can clearly tell, man, God was doing something here. It wasn't just a show for a show's sake, but there was a story attached to it, because that's like the whole MO of this podcast. Is sharing stories, right? And so
that one has the longest story, I think, out of any of them, because that one was almost like 11 months of backstory leading up to it.
Oh yeah, a lot of things we do, like it's
actually more than that if you want to go back to even when you guys were just performing there over the summer. Like that was over a year leading up to that.
Yeah, it was like 13 months from idea. 6 months later, get the grant. 6 months later, we're throwing the event. Yeah. Kind of thing. So, yeah, those ones stick out to me. Are there any like that stick out to you?
Those stick out to me a lot. Like you said, I do like the gallery episodes because we get to see Emily's heart come out, and the amount of investment Emily puts in without as much recognition or anything is really cool.
Listen, Emily, you better get your recognition, okay? I would say Emily gets a lot of recognition from me because I love her so much.
She does. But I don't think people outside Ripe realize how much there is from her.
Yeah, she does so much. Emily's on staff with Ripe Creatives. If you enjoyed those gallery episodes, email Emily and tell her, or find her on Instagram, because she's the best.
Go check out the pictures. The stuff's amazing. And the way that she helps design it all is just perfect.
Yeah, and I think what's been cool is watching us go from the gallery being a concept, let's see how this goes, to now it's like 33% of the Creatives Philly platform in 2023 is going to be galleries. So we'll definitely have some more gallery episodes, I would assume.
Yeah,
here on Time Is Right.
Most definitely. She's got it. Maybe not a well-oiled machine, but like she knows what she's doing, and even though she's got to start from scratch every time with a new artist, like she knows what she's got to get done.
Yep, she's figuring it out. I mean, it took us a while.
I mean, we've only done 2. The fact that we know it as well as we do.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying, like, even on the, like, creatives is probably the most tight thing that we do right now, because we've done them, right?
Yeah.
In a year, if we do a bunch of block parties this summer, like, then, block parties would feel like clockwork, kind of like creatives, in the sense of how well we can put those together.
Oh yeah.
Even Worship Fest is going to be better this year around. This time around this year, like Worship Fest will be a even better experience because we've done it before.
Yep.
So a lot of stuff, like the first time you do things, I mean, that, to me, that's faith. Like you step out, you don't know what's going to happen, and then God shows up and you get better. And we're the type of people that constantly, after we do something, are trying to figure out how can we fix it? How can we make it better? What could we have done differently? Oh, snap, I missed something here. That's my bad. This was good. You know what I mean? So like we debrief everything that we do that helps us get ready for the next thing. And, like I said, even on the first setting the stage, this podcast is really an extension of like our debrief conversations, like processing how we're doing with stuff is a part of what makes Ripe, I think, as successful as it's been, in the sense of what we've been able to steward and do. Not success from, we're killing the game out here or something like that, but just like doing well with what's been given is because of our processing. And I appreciate having a space that forces us to do it again. Yeah. Forces us to talk it out.
I know that we've come up with like new ideas and come up with ways to fix what we had wrong before when we're like literally mid recording an episode. I know I've had times where like we're talking about something, I don't even remember what, it was probably a creatives event, and I'm like, oh, what if we do it this way? And I'm like in my phone typing out on my notes, like, all right, fix this, try it like that.
Jarrett has been known during episodes that he's not on. He's like Googling how to like set up lights. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
like we're having a conversation. He's like, what about this? He's like sending me links on Amazon. He's like, can we buy this?
I want to try this, please.
He's like, speaking of which, can you get us another hard drive? Because we have footage from that thing that we never used. I'm like, oh my gosh, these podcasts are costing me so much money.
The amount of hard drives I've had you get just out of the blue. Speaking of which, did you order the new one?
No, no, we'll talk about that off pod. I gotta get that one done. Might have to do that as soon as we end this recording. But yeah, season 1, man, super thankful for it. If this is your first episode for some reason, I would highly encourage you to go back and listen.
Yeah. There's
little nuggets. I think, it gives context for so many people in our community and adjacent to our community. And I think, we're only going to get better from here too. But
definitely,
season 1 is definitely worth a listen for sure.
Definitely better with practice. But we're not here to just promote season 1 and tell everyone to go back to listen, or even just look back for our own fond memories' sake. Like we're here to set the stage. We're here for season 2.
Setting the stage, baby.
So just like setting the stage season 1, is there anything that you feel like we need to kind of reiterate or explain even better now that we know what we're doing better for season 2?
Yeah, I think so reiteration wise, I would say that just the target audience stuff. I feel like we made that pretty clear in setting the stage episode 1, but maybe I didn't do as great of a job always communicating that episode by episode. So people who stumbled in along the way may or may not know this, but like we're thankful for people who stumble in and just listen to the podcast that's been happening. People are, listening to this from even well outside of Philadelphia, around the country. Random people are stumbling upon Ripe Creatives. Looking us up, seeing what the heck is this, which is awesome. But like we made this episode for our partners, like our financial supporters, the people who give resources to make everything we do possible. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's something that's worth repeating, is like who this thing is for, or what it's for, is to say thank you to them.
Right.
And so thank you to all the people who partner with us.
Yes.
Like your generosity is what has made the last 3 years of Ripe Creatives possible. And everything we're planning on doing is like really in a lot of ways contingent on your continued partnership and support. And so like we wanted to do this as a thank you. And I think for some folks who give and are really, really interested in how their resources are being utilized, this has been an asset to them. Because it's giving real updates at length, in a way that a conversation can do better than, like I said on setting stage episode 1 from season 1, is a newsletter. Like a newsletter can only get into so much detail, whereas a conversation is going to give you a bunch of different perspectives from a bunch of different people. So that's definitely like something I would want to reiterate. And then I think like moving forward, like into season 2 stuff, I'm really excited to get new voices on the podcast. Like that's something that I'm super excited about. I think we did a great job with that in season 1, to be honest. We had a diversity of voices. Like we had SD on a couple of them.
Oh yeah. There were never 2 episodes in a row where it was the same people other than like you and me who have to be here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we had Aunt G, we had Rick on a couple, we had Abel on a few. Rashid, we finally got on one.
Andre, Emily, Rosie, Marguerite.
Janito, Emily, Marguerite. Yeah.
Big old list of people.
Yeah. And I think like there's a bunch of other people that you haven't been introduced to on the podcast yet that this year I feel like you're going to meet.
Yeah. And there's a good chance you've heard their name or you heard about something that they were a part of, and they're a part of a lot. So they'll be here.
But now you'll get to hear their voice around a specific episode, which I'm really, really excited about.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to be caught up. Like what we already talked about, like, man, that's going to be so good. It's going to be so special to leave an event on a Wednesday night at a university. And by the next week, we've released an episode about that event. So we're talking about something that happened like last week instead of, last year.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah. Going forward with that, are there any like additional goals you have in mind with season 2 that we're trying to shoot for? This is partially me just asking to know as the producer engineer, so I actually know what to be prepared for.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get to this in season 2, but I think video eventually would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like to be able to record, not just audio, but get video from the podcast. Just because of the way that the world works with short form content. I think what's been really cool has been you doing the other short form content, even without us having video of the conversation, you grabbing footage from the event that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, just started doing
and
that
throwing
recently.
up the cover art, and sharing like little reels out there for TikTok and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. I think that has been like such a win. Like people have really enjoyed that. And again, it's like low hanging fruit because we're creating this podcast. This podcast has the potential to be 10 pieces of content for our community or for artists in our community that were on each individual episode, which I just think is valuable. Like as artists, you're trying to continue to engage your following and steward relationship with people. And part of that is giving them good things to listen to. And so I think I'm really excited about that, like to see it grow, like to see in the midst of honoring our support network, seeing growth of more people stumbling upon Time is Ripe, the podcast. Emily was talking to me literally yesterday about merch for the podcast, because we got some stuff coming on the other end, but she was like, you need to make some like Ripe podcast, Time is Ripe specific merch.
Yeah.
Because of like how important this thing has been to our community. So,
yeah,
I'm excited for that. I don't know what else. I mean, I think like I would love to see the bottom line of Ripe Creatives grow. That more people who stumble in and hear this thing, understand that we're a nonprofit and we can receive tax deductible donations that goes to invest in all the things that we do. And I would love to see us grow the number of people who do partner with us in this year, and be able to trace some of that back to Time is Ripe.
Yeah.
That like this resulted in so-and-so becoming a monthly partner with what we do. And I think in a lot of ways it would validate the investment that we're making to do this, right? And the time and the effort and the resource that we put into it, to be able to say like, oh, like God is blessing this. He's utilizing this to help our entire ministry organization continue to flourish.
Yeah, because there's a lot more than just the time we sit down to record this that we put into it. There's the planning, organizing, and then just the actual editing side of it. And it's not just one person doing it all. It's like there's a couple of us that go into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not even just the podcast. It's also understanding how resources connected to capacity.
Yeah.
Because like we do a lot, but we could do more if we had more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think to brag on God, like we are able to do everything we do. And if I told you guys what our annual budget was as an organization, you would be like, how? How do you do everything that you guys do with that?
We're very high functioning.
We are able to take a penny and make it a dime. Literally. Like if you broke down like a true cost of everything that we do, it would be 10x.
Yeah.
Legitimately 10x of what we spend. But I would love to get to 10x of what we have so that we could do 5x of what we do, right? Because if we grow, then we got to make sure we honor people better in the midst of our growth. But,
and that's the culture of the community. Like there's never a time where we aren't honoring everyone involved whenever we get a chance.
Yeah, we try to take care of people. I think, if you saw a video of me on this episode right now, I'm wearing a hoodie that says artists need lunch money.
Yes.
Right. And it's a buddy of mine's brand, Antonio. Shout out to Antonio. But the idea behind it is that like a lot of times artists and creatives are the ones that are most taken advantage of. And if we're going to be a ministry leveraging the arts and serving artists, we need to be about equity and about helping people get access to resources to do the things that they do.
Yeah.
Do we do that perfectly? No, but I think we do it better than most because we've been intentional to make sure that the decisions we make honor the artists that we serve.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I mean, I remember earlier this year, I don't scroll Facebook. I am not a Facebook person, but the one time I did open it, I saw you posting about something and you were talking just about this, trying to explain to people how our resources work. You literally spelled out like what we would do if we had like a 50K budget, 100K, 500K, million, whatever, like however big a budget was. You just explained like how those resources could have been leveraged or how we could leverage them in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's one of the interesting things in terms of like the maturity of our vision, that I couldn't have said that in 2019. Like, hey, Scott, how would you use, because that was a question that was asked to me by a mentor of mine right when we launched. How would you use 50K? How would you use 50K and then 100K on top of that? So 150K. How would you use 50K, 100K, and then 250K or 500K, right? Like at these different levels, do you know what you would do?
Yeah.
And in 2019, we were just starting and we were spreading our wings pretty wide, and it would be like, oh man, we could do this, and this, I think. But now like 3 years in, right? Or going on 4, I guess, coming up on our 4-year anniversary this year, the reality is I actually have answers to those questions. You know, like I know exactly if we had an additional $50,000, like I know what we could do with 50K. If we had 100K, I know what we could do with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, that I dream a lot. And I think the important thing is like to have that secret of contentment of whatever you have, like that's what you have to steward.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think, healthy. Those without dreams perish, right? To have dreams of what is possible if you had the resources, right? Because like we are taking risk, but we're also trying to have margin. And so like I could say, oh, we're just going to go do this. But without the resource to be able to protect the vision, I don't want to bankrupt the vision of Ripe Creatives. And then we cease to exist because we went out and tried to do something crazy that we didn't really have the resources to do.
Yeah.
So that's like the counterbalance thing of being like a leader and stuff is you cast vision, but you also have to be like wise and protect your team and protect the integrity of what the culture is, and not burn people out, right? By not honoring them or taking care of them. Like, what does it look like to have a healthy balance of vision and wisdom, right?
Yeah. I mean, all these episodes, it's not always explained very well, but these episodes that we talk about, all these events, these are the results of the risks, the dreams, the visions, all that you have, I have, anyone in Ripe has. These are the outcomes. This whole podcast doesn't exist without those risks and dreams.
For sure.
And we've done it with what we have.
That's an important thing to name, you know, to our audience on Time is Ripe is like, the podcast is not the end goal. Like this is just one thing that we are trying to do to steward the story well of what God is doing, you know. And I think like for me, I don't name here's exactly what we would do a lot. So I think it might even be important just to name some crap, you know, name some stuff that God has kind of laid on our heart. Like if we, you know, so here's an example, right? If we had an extra $50,000 given to us, one-time check, somebody walks up to me and gives me 50 grand, like we could legitimately throw block party outreaches in the city of Philadelphia, free concerts for kids in underserved neighborhoods where nobody's throwing a concert 5-10 times this summer.
Yeah.
You know, like legitimately book our team, book our artists, book Top Mop Productions, run sound, get DJ NSG on stage, get some equipment in there, set up the speakers, and throw a concert for the kids. Like we did this in Germantown with Luke Billman, and that was a partnership between us and them, with them bringing us in and us obviously doing things and stewarding those resources and all that kind of stuff as well as we possibly could to throw an amazing event. But I would love to multiply that. Like, I would love to do that in relationship with a bunch of other places, and not just people who can like figure out a budget with us that works for us and them, but for just neighborhoods that we can just do that for. You know what I mean? Like, that don't have the ability to come up with a couple dollars to make sure we could rent the U-Haul to get the stuff there, right? Like, it's not a ton of money, but it's like there's expenses along the way that if we just throw 100 block parties this summer, we would be bankrupt.
We would be in so much debt.
Yes. we would not be able to continue to exist. But like with resources, like that is possible. Genuinely is. Like there's so many neighborhoods. Luke and I were talking on that episode about the Germantown block party. There's like 53 different unique neighborhoods.
Yeah. You said you could throw a block party every weekend and not run out of neighborhoods in Philadelphia.
Right. In a calendar year.
Yeah.
You could go on tour neighborhood to neighborhood in this city and love people well. And that's like our heartbeat, you know? So that's like one thing. Like at the 100K level, somebody walks up and says, all right, we already did the block party 50K. Here's $100,000. What would you do? I think we could scale Creatives. Creatives Philly is currently like a once a month-ish event on a Tuesday night. We could scale that. You know, I mean, we could scale it in terms of the number of events and different styled events. Instead of having 3 creatives galleries in a year, you do a creatives gallery every month. I mean, Emily would kill me. But theoretically, right, instead of doing 3 or 4 open mics in a year, you could do one every month. You could do concerts every month. With resources, you can scale the frequency that what we're doing. Like, I just think that's a big part of it from my heart, is not give us money so we can go do bigger one day things. It's like, if we had resources, God blessed us with more than what we have, we can scale what we're currently doing at a greater level of frequency, have more touches in people's lives, you know? So that you're not just being able to invest, monthly, or with a bigger event annually, or with a medium-sized event quarterly, to be able to actually be in their life, like week in, week out, having touches, producing good things, and building up an army of creatives and artists, here in the city of Philadelphia who love Jesus. So, yeah. And even like greater scales, $500,000. I know that sounds crazy, but like we could legitimately help some of our artists quit their jobs, pursue ministry through the arts full time, right? Give them like a boost as they reach out and step out as a missionary through the arts. Give them kind of a baseline to start from as they go out and try to recruit more resources to support them in that calling, but give them a baseline to be able to do that, right? Like that would be a dream that I would have, is to see people in our community that are functioning as artists in Ripe right now not have to work this other job that they may or may not be super passionate about, and be able to do this all the more. Which again would frequency of them getting out on the road and getting bookings and going and doing ministry through their gift would just multiply at scale, especially as our team continues to grow. And then, the like $1 million dream, it's probably more than $1 million to be honest, but at that scale, like what would you do? And genuinely, like, I know exactly what I would do. We would get a space to house people that love Jesus and want to pursue him through their art.
Ripe House.
We would have a Ripe House. And in an ideal world, it would be a house venue combination. We love Story Factory. We love you so much. And we will always continue to partner with Story Factory no matter what, as long as they'll have us. But the dream would be that we have a space that it doesn't require a knock at the door, because it's a key. And we have the ability to be in there not one night a month, but multiple times a week. Right? I mean, a venue space that was ours would represent not just Creatives Philly events, but all the Christian hip hop shows that we do, other singer-songwriter type of things that we do, the poetry stuff. I mean, we could be a housing for Greg and AVG and Two Lines, you know what I'm saying? Like other events that other people are running. And even, like worship stuff, right? Like the Ripe worship team having a hub that they could be able to invite people into for worship experiences. I mean, there's even a lot of dreams we were talking about yesterday for 2024 of things that we are wrestling with
Yeah.
Is God calling us to do blank? I'm not going to put that out there right now.
Again,
But a
integrity.
space, but a space would make that a heck of a lot easier to do that. Now, what I have come to find out is like not having a space is a blessing,
Yes.
right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of resources. And for us, we don't have $1 million right now, probably because that's how I would spend it. And maybe we're not supposed to have that. But I just continue to keep my hands open to say, Lord, whatever you want to do, we'll do it. You know, and if he said, here's $1 million, but don't spend it that way, I would listen, right? Like, I'm not a fool. But I think it's important to have dreams.
Yes.
It's important to say what is possible. You know, that Ripe Creatives could be, you know, a real institution in the city of Philadelphia that impacts a lot of people. You know, I think right now it's super organic. It's super relational. You know, our team is like 35, 40 people, and we're building something. But knowing that what's possible for this to be multiplied, not just for Ripe to grow, but for like artists and creatives in the city of Philadelphia who love Jesus to be multiplied, built up, and sent out. Man, it can change the world.
100%.
Genuinely believe that. I think everybody who's working should feel like what they're doing is the most important job in the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about this. I genuinely feel like we are at the crossroads of something truly spectacular as God is moving and revival is happening in the midst of the culture going crazy, right? Jesus is still God and he is redeeming people. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that the arts is a way that he draws people to himself. It is a powerful, potent vehicle for the message of the gospel to reach people. We've seen this. This is what we do. And I want to do more of it, you know? So that's my setting the stage, season 2, episode 1 dreams, you know? I don't know if that'll happen through the podcast or whatever else, but I think it's important to name that stuff.
No one can say we didn't.
No one can say we didn't. That's right. We put it out there. We put it out there. What about for you? Any thoughts on season 2 that you're looking forward to?
I think just be on the lookout for some good stories, some great experiences that we're all about to share. We've already got a bunch of stuff scheduled that we're all excited for.
Yep. It's going to be a great year. And yeah, I think the first episode of season 2 is going to be about a little trip that Greg, AVG, and I made down to DC area for Busboys and Poets. So that'll be dropping soon, or it might already be out if you're just finding this episode later. But should be good. It's going to be a great season 2 here on Time Is Right. And again, thank you to everybody who already partners with us. Makes everything we do possible. We just want to see it grow. You know, we want to be able to do more. And we're excited to see what God does in 2023. This feels like our year within the Ripe community. So many things are happening with the artists stepping up, the worship team coming together, our creatives team getting a new home with our events. Like there's 50,000 things that we could say that are happening right now beneath the surface. Mm-hmm. That's like, man, this is our year, you know? And I hope next year we feel the same way. But you know, it feels like something really special is happening in 2023. So be on the lookout. It's going to be great.
Big things coming.
Big things coming. The time is ripe, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to get this episode texted to you, 215-273-3540. That's 215-273-3540. You can text us the words "time is ripe," and you will get every episode texted to you as soon as it drops.
Yep.
And yeah, we look forward to what's ahead. And as always, until next time,
Stay ripe.
Stay right.
Joyce